I talk about this quite frequently, and a lot of us have experiences where, it's like I can go to my kids probably and be like, hey, uh, have you ever had a thought and you notice butterflies in your belly? Or have you ever had a situation where you notice, you have to stand in front of your class and recite a poem and you get a little butterflies in your belly, right? There's a little, maybe a tightness or something like that. Yes, absolutely. Have you ever noticed a time when, you notice yourself, your your breath increasing, your respirations increasing? Have you ever noticed a time where you feel like your heart rate is increasing, where you actually can feel the pounding in your chest? And yes, absolutely. Everyone can like sort of like, oh yeah, I walked into that, or I had to give a talk, or whatever it is, and I had butterflies in my belly, I had tightness, I had constriction, I had this, I had that. I noticed that my breathing was shallow. My breath rate was increased. I could feel my heart pounding. Okay, okay. And what was that caused by? Right? It was a thought or an event. Then I turn it around and I ask the other question. Right? Have you ever had a thought that decreased your heart rate? No, never had. Have you ever had a thought that loosened the butterflies in your belly? No, I only notice it one way. I only notice the butterflies in my belly as I'm going in. Well, the butterflies left because I was done with that anxious up. But if we have a thought or an event or a moment that increases butterflies in our belly, or that increases our heart rate, or that increases our respirations, or that increases the shallowness of our breath, then the opposite is also true. And that's sort of what you asked, right? Is, wow, if I can do this, if I can employ this practice and decrease my blood pressure in a situation that I know is anxiety producing, right? These are all mental constructs. I'm going into this place. So you're going into let's say a relatively anxiety producing, and yet you still employ the practice and you're able to decrease your blood pressure. Okay, what else could I do? Wow, if I could do this, where you're entering into an anxious situation and you're able to maintain a normal blood pressure due to a 5-minute practice. I'm just curious, how long did you actually do the practice for to notice the benefit of it in that moment? Right? Because you're really activating that nervous system. You're really activating that parasympathetic nervous system in real time. And when you're activating that nervous system, you're bringing balance to it. So even though there may be a tinge of that stress and anxiety that's in the background, you're helping to balance that, right? With an active practice that you're doing. So even if you get nervous when you talk to people, when you, let's say you talk in front of large groups, or you're asked to do something that is outside your comfort zone and you feel the butterflies in your belly, right? What are the practices that you're employing, that you're doing, that don't prevent you from doing it? Because maybe it's, maybe you get invited to give a talk and it's an honor, but you're nervous about it, right? Or you're meeting somebody for the first time and you're nervous about it. Or, you're having an appointment with a doctor and you're nervous about it, whatever it might be. Natural responses. And yet you say, oh, if if I just allow that natural response to be heard, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to feel constriction. I'm going to feel butterflies in my belly, and I'm going to, X, Y, and Z. So what am I going to do? Well, let me breathe. Let me practice mindfulness. 3 minutes. Here we have, we have proof. 3-minute practice can help regulate blood pressure. And they've shown this over and over again. And the more we practice it, the more we feel comfortable doing it in situations that we might not feel comfortable in. Okay? And that's the point. It's not that we only practice it when we're stressed, is that we try to practice it. We try to have a daily practice so that when we do need it, it's just right there. The other part is that in this practice, you're having a relationship with awareness. You're having a relationship with beingness, let's say. And the more you have the more you are aware of awareness, the more there's this happiness, joy, peace that might arise. And so you actually want to, that's then the driving force of the practice, is like, oh, let me go spend a little time with myself. Let me go spend a little time with awareness. Let me go spend a little time in pure beingness, as opposed to just getting caught up in all my thoughts and worries and stressors. We go spend some time. And so the calling, right? So the calling is not only, well, I can do this practice and I do this practice and I can decrease stress in real time. And you now have proof that you can do this, right? And so because you have proof that you can do this, how more likely are you going to do this in the future? Probably going to do it more like, right? Now you say, hey, I did it once. Now can I do it twice? Or like you said, like, what are other realms that I can bring this to? Right? How can I expand this beyond just my blood pressure when I'm getting it by the doctor or the nurse, or whoever it is that's writing down this silly number, whatever it is, right? Where else can I use this? What other aspects of my life do I notice that I feel tension, that I feel anxiety, that I feel nervousness around, that I can actually bring this on? So you see how there's so many applications to this, which is really, really beautiful. And I thank you for sharing that. And that's, the reason I got into it as first was really directly that was, I was finishing my undergrad and trying to decide what I wanted to do in life. And I was like, gee, do I go to medical school and study for the MCAT? Do I go to graduate school? What do I do? I knew I kind of wanted to go to medical school, but just the stress of thinking about applying to medical school and taking all the exams and stuff was just like, it was like anxiety producing. And, I was like, okay, I need something that helps me regulate these. And then it became much broader and bigger, also asking a question, who am I and who are we and what are we doing in this life? As you can tell, the practice is, that's a simple practice. 3 minutes, breathing exercise, decreased blood pressure. It's just such a blessing to be able to participate in this incarnation and to have these experiences that we can feel and that are perceived and sensed and stuff like that. So thank you very much for that. And anything that can be resourcing in the time that we can be anchoring and stuff like that. We've done humming here in the past as well, where we hum a tune, which can be powerful. And I do recommend having a favorite, like creating like a favorite playlist on your phone or something like that you can sort of bust out as well. But yeah, anything that the mind can be such an avenue of taking us into the into our greatest fears, which if we want to go into them at that time, but it's good sometimes just to say, hey, let me pay attention to something else for now. And
Right.
music, singing, humming, humming your favorite tune, whatever that is. That's why that's why we do so many different practices. Is it's not always the breath. um yeah, and we've talked a little bit about also, whether it's singing, prayer, mantra, right? Some people just use the repetition of a sound or phrase that has no specific meaning in and of itself, so that
Right.
we don't get carried away by the meaning and sort of overinterpret the meaning of it, but we just sort of stay with the sound of the phrase that is being repeated, and that's it, which is similar to to prayer as well. Great. Excellent. Okay. So let's go into our practice for today. Yeah. And I'm just practice is going to be guided by the the great the great appreciation for community, a connection that can be felt clearly over time and space. Um, and so, just honoring that. If I can do a practice that can decrease my blood pressure, or if I can do this prayer that can be felt miles away, what else is possible, right? Where else can I bring this practice to, not only for myself, but for my family, my loved ones, my pets, nature, my community, whatever it might be? And just sort of holding that intention as we go into our practice today. Okay, so let's find a comfortable posture, a posture that we feel relaxed yet alert. And for this practice, I would recommend sitting or lying down. And closing your eyes if you feel comfortable closing your eyes. If not, having a soft downward gaze. Taking 2 or 3 deep breaths for yourself. And with each in-breath, inviting in the present moment. And with each out-breath, releasing any tension or stress that you may feel. Even the slight intention of releasing some stress through your breath. And then breathing regularly of what works for you. And beginning by bringing your attention to your anchor, your resource, place you can direct your attention to that feels safer, calming, soothing. This could be your breath, it could be a song, a prayer, a repetition of a word or phrase, a felt sense in the body, an emotion, a spiritual figure, or an imaginary figure. Whatever it is that you can direct your attention to. And in the perfect practice of mindfulness, recognizing when the mind wanders, and directing it back to our anchor. Our mind wanders, which is what the mind does. So there's no judgment. There's no right or wrong. That's just the mind. And we get to know the mind in our practice. Hello, mind. Jumping here and there, everywhere. And you choose to come back to your anchor. And you may notice thoughts. You may notice the activities of the mind. Emotions. You may notice sensations that are perceived through the body, through the five senses. You may notice what you're hearing right now in the present moment, what you're smelling, what you're tasting, what you're touching, and even what you're seeing, even if your eyes are closed, what you are seeing. And just taking it all in as this moment. What is your experience? What is your awareness of this moment? What are you aware of? You may even be aware of sensations inside your body, your gut, your pelvis, your stomach. You may feel a subtle rhythmic pulsation underneath your skin. You may notice the beating of your heart, your lungs expanding and contracting with each breath. Just simply noticing what is arising for you in this moment. That whatever is arising is coming and going. Noticing when a thought enters your awareness. If you choose not to pay too much attention to it, what happens? That all these experiences come and go. There'll be thoughts, emotions, sensations that come and go. They morph, they change. This practice, as we are directing our attention outwards to all these experiences, see if we can direct our attention inwards and rest in awareness itself. That there's nothing that we need to pay attention to. That everything is happening in awareness, and we can rest back in pure awareness. Almost as we are turning the searchlight of attention back onto itself, back onto its source. Where does your attention come from? Rest in that. Our common nature, awareness. Now, as you're resting in awareness, just send out a small intention that we are all connected through this awareness, that we are all one through this awareness. That this is pure community. True connection. That there's no separation between you or I. That it's all we. Experience through awareness. And as you make these connections, still feeling your body, noticing yourself breathing, but yet expanding awareness to family members, to friends, loved ones, your pets, animals, to other people in this group, to your local community, to your extended community, and if you wish, to all beings everywhere. Notice what you feel inside your body. A true sense of oneness, universal connection, universal awareness, perceiving all that is perceived, experiencing all that is experienced in the present moment, limitless, timeless, our true essence. and resting in that. And seeing if you can notice awareness itself as well as your body breathing or your anchor. Connection to that universal awareness while fully being embodied. Balancing full expansion and contraction. Balancing the in-breath with the out-breath. And just noticing how you feel being embodied. And as we bring this meditation to a close today, just seeing if throughout your day you can incorporate this expansiveness into your everyday duties, washing dishes, doing laundry, meeting with friends or family, shopping, cooking your food, whatever it might be. Bringing your attention back to your anchor, back to your resource. Taking 2 or 3 deep breaths. Opening your eyes if your eyes were closed. Reorienting yourself to your room and surroundings. Feeling your feet on the floor. And just taking a moment to reflect on your practice today.